Hey guys, welcome back to the Malibash Spotlight Show. I'm really excited to have a cool guest with us today, James Fisher Davis. He is a coach, mentor, and he's done a lot of things. He also has his own book out and super smart, intelligent guy. We're really excited to have you here, James, with us today. And he is going to be representing to us his company that he works with, Equilibrium Up. And they have some really great, not only mission and uh, things that they've already worked with and people that they've worked with, but they're spreading out and becoming more and more gathering momentum. And so it's really cool to see this, and I think it's going to be really beneficial for you guys today. So you're going to want to listen to what James says. But first off, James, thanks so much for being here. It's great to have you on the show.
You are more than welcome. I'm absolutely honored to be here with you, Ashley. I appreciate everything that you are actually doing and providing individuals with a forum to come on and share some of the great work that we believe that we're doing and to share our calling and our purpose in life too. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. That's awesome. And you got some really interesting and cool experience. You guys work with not only athletes, but you work with law enforcement. You guys do a lot of how that relationship building, which is really difficult, something that you don't necessarily it's lacking in a lot of organizations. Let's just say that, of equality and how to create relationships with people from the realism instead of just a very basic um, equality training where you may get and it just means nothing, it falls flat, all that stuff. So you guys go deeper, you guys go down to the heart. And I'm really interested in this because it's something that everybody needs to implement, can learn from. Companies need to implement this more. And I would, like I said, everybody needs to learn from this. So, James, take it away. Tell us a little bit about the company Equilibrium Up. What are you guys exactly doing and how is this benefiting?
I appreciate the opportunity. It's interesting because one of the things that we found throughout our experiences anyway is that human connectivity is almost a lost art now.
Yeah.
Prior to COVID, when we were all isolated anyway, and prior to a lot of the social unrest that was taking place, um, we still weren't necessarily utilizing the tools that we need in order for us to learn how to really get to know who someone happens to be as opposed to what they were. And it's interesting because quite often as we're dealing with what in an individual happens to be, we miss out. We miss out on getting to know them at their very core. So what we wanted to do was make certain that we put something together, a curriculum where we could actually speak with individuals, go in and provide them with actionable tools, which was going to enhance their ability to be able to connect with others. Really, to make a long story short, it's about how do we help individuals become the best human being that they could possibly become. That's extremely important. And in order for them to do that, quite often they have to learn how to be comfortable even when they're uncomfortable. If they can learn how to be comfortable when they're uncomfortable, then they can lead. They can learn that old concept of being able to agree to disagree without being disagreeable. So the idea behind it was to try to move individuals from their different sandboxes and from their different silos and get them to understand that even though you may have a like mindset with so many individuals, you may have a certain number of commonalities with some individuals. The fact of the matter is, every silo or sandbox you go to, there's always going to be that one definitive, that one commonality, and that is you're all going to be human beings. So how do we go about the business of dealing with one another as human beings and dealing with one another in regards to who we are and trying to judge individuals, if we're going to judge at all, by the content of their character as opposed to the color of their skin or their gender or religion or whatever that might be. So that's what we do. We're about connecting individuals, and right now we're spending a lot of time in regards to connectivity in reference to law enforcement and the public, because one thing that we're trying to get individuals to be mindful of is the fact that the police are the public and the public are the police. The fact of the matter is, your law enforcement officials, they grew up in communities that were also being served and protected by other law enforcement officials. So they are well aware of some of the issues that happens and that occur in all communities, honestly. So that being the case, how do we reconnect that component? And in order to do that, it's going to take all of us, and we all need to have a certain, um, not necessarily training, but it's more or less education and information. And if we're providing education and information to the heart and to the mind, then hopefully what will happen is that the heart and the mind will go about the business of training the tongue. Because quite often when we find ourselves in trouble or not necessarily connecting with folks, it's not necessarily based on our actions. It's based upon those things that we may say. So we're trying to deal with the mind, body, and the spirit. That's where we are.
That, like you said, it doesn't happen very often where you get a really genuine course that helps to bring that out and to make it touchable for people. I think it's a very ominous thing for a lot of people, and you can tell. So it's really great what you guys are doing. Going into law enforcement, helping to create that. The relationship of how the reasons behind a lot of the stuff too, and it's not just this and this is black and white. It's not. There's so many more things to it. How can you confront anybody on any scale and just have, instead of it being a knee-jerk reaction that you get, what about cultivating something that's a little bit more workable, it's manageable, it's something that you can work with to help maybe create a better situation instead of it just being confrontational. And that can be in any work environment, sports, anything that deals with people, I think would, can benefit from this type of setting. So I'm really appreciate you sharing that. And you started this company. You guys have been around for how long now?
We have been around formally for a little over 7 years. And it's
Okay.
interesting because I have coached for over 20 years and I've trained law enforcement officers for over 25 years. And then I've been a part of sports organizations for at least about 25 years as well. And
Mhm.
then even as an educator, teaching at the community college level, serving as a dean and as an adjunct faculty at the university as well. So we have a lot of experiences in regards to interacting with individuals from different socioeconomics and different experiences. And I think that that is extremely important because what we do is we bring a certain practicality. Can we bring the academic piece? Absolutely. Can we bring the research? Absolutely. Can we bring EBP or the evidence based practice? Absolutely. But we also bring that which is personal to us as well. And that's extremely important, we think, in regards to connecting with individuals and getting them to understand the significance of the material that we're sharing with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the whole battle too, a lot of it is getting people to understand the need for that. I think it's one of the biggest battles. You don't realize you need help with something unless you actually, understand why. And why you're actually needing that. If you don't know that you even need help with something, it's hard to
Right.
teach them that. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what got you passionate about starting this company?
Um, it was seeing the struggles that some individuals go through. It was also seeing the upward trajectory
Mhm.
of life in reference to some other individuals as well. So it was not as though, we were constantly dealing with and interacting with individuals where there was necessarily a need. Um, we were pretty much across the board in regards to the interactions that we were having with folks. So I would say that one of the reasons that we wanted to start this was mainly because of probably my upbringing as opposed to anything else. I'm the son of a sergeant major,
Mhm.
military. And I tell people sometimes that when the first Desert Storm took place, I had a family member that was actually who was actually serving in every branch of our military at that particular time. I've had them be sheriff deputies. I've had them obviously be on the law enforcement side. Obviously, they've been athletes. They've been academia. They've been business. So for me, I've had an opportunity to see a broad spectrum and I've also had the pleasure of watching them interact with individuals who happen to be within those particular industries and those particular professions as well. I just believe in, the folks who are actually associated with Equilibrium Up. We believe that, as Muhammad Ali once said, it is service is the rent we pay for existing on this earth. We just believe that it is about serving individuals best we possibly can, helping them. In essence, we talk about this idea of hope, right? Okay, so how do you give someone hope? And hope for us just stands for helping other people excel. How do we best go about the business of doing that? And we saw the need that was out there in regards to it. There was a lot of things that were being neglected to a certain extent. And, the focus sometimes, especially in society, is not necessarily the focus on those things that really happen to be a need, but those things that happen to be a want. We spend billions of dollars in the United States just in regards to leadership, and bringing individuals in and trying to teach them how to lead other individuals. And we talk all the time about the fact that that is extremely important, but it's almost like putting the cart before the horse sometimes. Leadership is extremely important, but how about character? That's one of those things that we don't really talk about to the extent that we should. Character is extremely important, and it's not just the character in regards to the adults, but it is actually teaching young people about character, about accountability and responsibility, and about loyalty and commitment. And then it's teaching everybody actually about how do you best go about the business of loving one another. And I think sometimes we fail at that because we find it difficult to even love ourselves. So what we do is we provide those actionable tools that cover entire gamut in regards to everything really. We customize our curriculum, so it's based upon those needs that different entities may have, because they're all going to have different needs. And we want to make certain that we're able to cover those needs for them so that they can have and we can have the outcome that everyone is hoping for.
That's fantastic. What a great idea, and what a really cool inspirational thing for you to dive into doing. It's not easy to do that, and you've done such a great job with it. You have a lot of really great momentum that you guys have gotten, great feedback. I was popping some of that up at the bottom, guys. Some of the reviews that these guys have gotten is just so cool because their program is so genuine, and you listen to James, you can really tell that he's got a very good connection with humanality, the whole humanoids. And it's one of those things that it makes a big difference when there's a class that's related to anything about having and building relationships with human beings. And it's if you're in networking, if you're starting a company, if you're doing anything into that sort where you have to deal with people on a regular basis, it's really important to have good people skills. And not just that, it's a very basic. When somebody says people skills, I think that's very basic compared to what you really should have to make relationships and lasting relationships, and to continue on, not just from the hi, how are you, but to keep on going and to be able to get down on their level and to make it real for them so that they remember you and they want to come back to you because it's a good positive feeling instead of it being awkward or weird, or you just completely missed the mark and things like that. So honestly, it's really great that you have built this company. I know it's been a long time in the making, and you guys have done such a great job, and you work with so many amazing companies and everything. What is your hope for the future with this? What are you hoping to get into more? What's your ideal your ideal momentum with this?
Uh, it is mainly to connect us more as a society. Uh, Quite often, what happens is that we're listening to various narratives, and in some of the narratives, there's a lot of merit in regards to it. But I think most of the time it is because of the lack of experiences that we have with one another, right? So we talk about this whole idea of 20 seconds, giving someone at least 20 seconds. Give them 20 seconds so you can actually hear them and kind of feel them to a certain extent. In essence, you can kind of experience them. And then 20 seconds sometimes turns like 25 seconds, sometimes even 25 minutes. And there have been occasions when we haven't necessarily taken the time out to do that, and we totally understand what the comfort level is. The comfort level for most individuals is that, if I'm able to place you in a box, then I feel pretty comfortable about what I know about you. And that's not true. And so we'll paint demographics with a broad brush. And that's not true. So what we're hoping to accomplish is to get individuals to slow down just a little bit, to give one another 20 seconds so we can actually listen to one another. If
Mhm.
we take the opportunity to listen to one another, then we may be able to understand what someone is going through, which means then we'll be a little bit more compassionate in regards to their needs and how we can better go about the business of serving them and trying to help them. And those entities that we have that are out there who are responsible for really serving, we need to make sure that we appreciate those individuals because everyone does not necessarily have it in their heart to serve. They have the capacity to do so, but sometimes individuals become so busy they become really focused upon themselves. So those folks who are out there who are saying, "You listen, we're going to serve because it's my calling. We're going to serve because it's my purpose." We need to make certain one that we thank them, and then those individuals who are tasked with serving, they need to make certain that they honor and they respect those individuals for whom they are serving as well. So within the law enforcement community, we always talk about the fact that, listen, as we go in and as we're sharing information with you, this is about trying to develop the most holistic law enforcement official ever in the history of the United States of America. Man, what an enormous endeavor that is, right? And in order for us to accomplish that, it's going to take a lot of cooperation and a lot of collaboration as well. And then we also need to make certain in every community, we all have a responsibility to try and look after one another and protect one another best we possibly can. So it's not just enough for those who take an oath to serve and protect. Individuals within our communities who are trying to make sure that their communities thrive, they have a responsibility to try and serve and protect those who have taken the oath to serve and protect as well, right? So it goes full circle, and that's what we're trying to get individuals to understand. And we have great folks who have they have looked at the curriculum, they've gone through the sessions, they have wonderful things to say about it. They come out of it not just feeling great about the information they received, but they come out of it with actionable tools. So they just don't go in and say, "Oh man, this was a great meeting," and then they leave. What happens is they go in and say, "This was a great session, but I'm leaving this session now, and I know some of those things that I need to work on. I know what I need to do to become a better human being, because at the end of the day, you can't become a better human being and not serve individuals in a better fashion in which we've done in the past. And that's the key to it. I become better, which means I get to serve you better as well. And those are the things that we're hopeful for.
I love how you talked about too the community and creating not just those that took the oath, but the people that are in the community that support them. But I mean, I want to take this up to even government, the ones that make the laws that are passed down, that are enforced, those people for sure, if they're the ones that are supposed to be representing us and representing rights and things like that, they really need to know this type of thing. Like they need to know how to build those relationships with people and to get down on their level and to understand and to become a better them so that they can support and to serve the people that they're representing that way as well. So it's like a whole full circle. It's not just the front lines, it's also the all the support and the people behind that make the laws and make the trainings and do all that side of it, because that's honestly where most of the issues, a lot of them, are. So
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, yeah, absolutely. You almost got me on a
Yeah, I
soapbox,
know, I
James.
know. I always do. Every time we talk, it's like that's the case. Listen, and this is not a utopian view.
Yeah.
I don't want individuals to hear it and say, "Oh man, that sounds so great," but that is not anything that we could ever accomplish, because actually we can. We
Yeah.
can accomplish it. We just have to commit to it. And to be honest with you, a lot of the things that we talk about, people do those things already, but we just need them to heighten it. We need to do it at a greater level is what we should be looking for. And at the end of the day, this is about, if you really want to help yourself, always seek to help others first. If you can do that, inevitably what you're going to find is that you have also helped yourself. And when we can get to the point where we start to talk about, well, the decision I'm going to make, who is it going to affect? How is it going to affect them. And not only how is it going to affect them, but how is it going to affect those individuals who love them, who care about them as well. And quite often, decisions are being made based upon my needs first, and then maybe if it helps someone else, that is fine. But imagine if if we were to reverse that, it would be
Mhm.
amazing how gratifying people could actually see that type of thinking as being, and
Yeah.
that's what we're after.
I love that. I think that's great, James. I'm so excited for you guys, and I really hope that those are out there that's touching your heart. Like, definitely go and reach out to James and see how he can help you guys out with your company or anything of that. Because honestly, this is really great tools and wisdom, and he's really got a good grasp on everything. And you have done a book, produced a book, yes, written a book, published a book. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. It's available on Amazon. I'm gonna pop it up here. Togetherness is the main title of this by you. So explain to us, the reasoning behind building this book. I know it has to do a lot with your company that you've got and everything. I just think that's really cool that you created it in book form so people can listen to it or read it as well.
Yeah, bound by togetherness. It's interesting because our delivery method during our sessions is a little bit different, and we designed it that way. Again, educated for more than 15 years, training for over 25 years, coaching for over 20 years. We know that there are certain things that work, but we also knew that in order to really touch individuals and start to deal with them internally, that we were probably going to have to do things just a little bit different. And so when we provide our sessions, quite often we do it with storytelling, and we capture the imaginations of individuals, and then folks start to self-reflect. They start to think about, when they were younger and certain experiences that they've had. Actually, that's really what this is about. This is about self-reflection, to be honest with you. It's just about self-reflection. It's about, if I can self-reflect, then I will become a lot more self-aware. If I become self-aware, then I'm inclined to be socially aware as well. And those three all go, hand in hand in hand. At the end of the day, self reflection is really the key to self awareness, right? So when we're telling stories and we're sharing information with them, so I remember the first time I was doing so. And listen, I was somewhat reluctant. I was an old law enforcement guy. I was like, I don't necessarily need to put all that out there. And but then it dawned on me that sometimes what happens is that an individual story is no longer just a story to them, especially when it is an impactful story. It is something that impacted their lives in such a significant way. So when that happens, then the story is no longer the story, it becomes an individual's testimony. Once it becomes an individual's testimony, it no longer belongs to them. It belongs to everyone that that particular story or that testimony could actually help. Does that make sense? Right? So that's kind of where we are in regards to all of this. So in reference to the book, I had individuals who would come up to me and say, you know what, that story was great. Thank you so much. It really shed a lot of light on things for me. It helped me understand a lot more in regards to the principles that you guys are talking about. So, people had been, saying to me for an extended period of time that, you should put it pen to paper. You should write some of these things. And I'm like, I don't necessarily know if I want to do that, right? Uh, to say that I was reluctant is not even, it's probably disingenuous, to be honest with you. I was more than just reluctant in regards to this. So what I did was listen, I prayed about it, I thought about it, uh, talked to my wife in reference to it, and then finally I said, you know what? If this is what it's going to take in order for us to get this message across to individuals, if this is what it's going to take in order to bring a certain human connectivity within our communities, then this is what I'm going to do. So what I did was I took maybe two or three of the stories. There's several in there, but I took maybe two or three of them and I shared it in the book. But the most fascinating thing to us in regards to the book is not just the stories. The stories are really just a pathway towards self-reflection. But at the end of each chapter, what happens is there's an experiential there. there are questions there that individuals get to answer in their own words, write it in their own handwriting. There's a character audit that is there. There's a leadership evaluation that is there. In essence, the book is designed for one, for self-reflection, and two, to help individuals understand better who they are and what their purpose and what their calling is in life. We all have a purpose here on this earth. And sometimes we talk about, I'm just trying to find it, I'm just trying to find it. And there are times when all you have to do is just sit quietly and self reflect. And when you do that, all of a sudden, it's like you have an epiphany. You're like, oh, you know what? I think I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I know what my gifts are. I know what my talents are. And this book is designed to help bring that out. So anything that we could do, even if it means my having to put stories in a book, as reluctant as I was in regards to it, then that's what we need to do. Remember the first thing I said about 15 minutes ago is that we have to learn how to be comfortable even where we're uncomfortable. And if I'm going to share that with people, then I have to take my own advice.
Taking your own advice is probably one of the hardest things to do sometimes, it and something that a lot of people don't do on a regular basis.
That's
So
true.
yeah, I think that's very true. You got to live by the words that you're preaching. Absolutely. I'm glad that you made this into a book. And guys, you can find this on Amazon. Um, Togetherness Through Service is the title for those of you guys who are just listening in. Find this on Amazon, check it out, and purchase this. It's just hardback right now, but it's going to be, worth it for you guys to kind of just get to see the insights to what James has in his years of experience in this whole world. And he's been able to work with some really cool people. Now, I wanted to ask you, what is one of the most inspirational or exciting, I don't know, exciting, but one of your best moments that you've had working in this? Doing the job with, I mean, creating your own company, and then, what, I mean, I know you can't say names or anything like that, but have you had a experience with somebody or a group that just really inspired you?
Yeah, always. It's interesting because when I started, especially with the book, um, you know, I tend to receive texts and calls all the time from young people whom I've coached over the years. And, I tell folks that I'm extremely blessed and extremely fortunate because, I have young people who are playing in the WNBA, the NBA, the NFL, the USFL. I even have one that's on the PGA Tour. And then
It's amazing.
that's professionally. But we have them who are actually playing overseas. They're playing at different colleges and universities. I have some who are law enforcement officials. I have some who are doctors and others who are in the business community, and that probably excites me more than anything else, to be honest with you, because what that says to me is that I didn't necessarily help them get there, but I didn't hinder them from getting there neither. And sometimes, that's kind of what we have to do. We have to work with individuals in such a fashion where that they don't necessarily, one, lose love for what they enjoy doing, and two, we need to make certain that we inspire them to aspire to that which we know for a fact is greatness within them. And to be able to do that, that has been extraordinary. And then just to work with individuals who've gone on and they moved into leadership roles, and to watch them not only lead individuals because they love the individuals that they lead, but also to lead them with character as well. Those are probably been some of the most exciting things for me in a way within the profession, and what I've been able to assist individuals with.
That, and it's really great to be able to see how, you know what you've taught is being accepted, but also it's helping them to get the best out of life and helps them to, find the whole picture of life and to actually feel fulfilled and to not just have, a one-sided vision. I think, this training teaches so much more than just getting to know a person. It's knowing the personality. It's being willing to, like you said, listen. Because I so many times we just want to talk. We don't necessarily want to listen. And this is coming from a podcaster, so I understand that. Um, so listening to these people, understanding where they're coming from, their viewpoints, what, and realizing that a lot of these guys, I mean, everybody has valid concerns, valid reasons, and things like that. So, are you going to listen? Or are you going to blow it off? And I know that those type of skills will help you in the job field, will help you in any type of field that you get into, film, government. For you, you have some students that have gone to the MBA. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. Congratulations. That's absolutely huge to have that, and to know that you got to touch those people's lives, and that they'll remember you. And
Yeah.
that uh, they've gotten that opportunity to kind of have a step up on life, because a lot of people aren't taught this. They aren't, they have to kind of learn it through osmosis if they do, or through hard knocks, which isn't always fun. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I really appreciate you sharing all that, James. And I also just wanted to ask you, what are some things like another tidbit? I know you were saying inspire to aspire. I think that needs to be printed on a t-shirt if it's not already. Um, but what are like some keys and things that you would like to share with the audience before we end for the day? Just something for them to remember.
Um, Probably a couple things. One, every morning when you get up,
Mm,
say that I want to learn something and I want to help someone.
yeah.
If at the end of the day you can go to bed at night, you can say, you know what, I learned something today, and I also helped someone. I served someone in some shape, form, or fashion. That is great. And then the other thing is this whole idea of trying to love one another. And I know sometimes people look at, listen, I'm 6'3", 215. I firearms guy, defensive tactics guy. I'm not, hey, listen, in the coaching, I'm not the easiest coach to necessarily play for. But for me, it's about faith, hope, and love. And if we can bring ourselves to try and love one another more, the idea behind it is you're not going to like everybody. I tell groups sometimes, I say, I'm here because I love you, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that how can you possibly love me when you don't even know me? And I tell them, I said, because if I get to know you, I may not like you that much, but that's okay because I'm not commanded to like you, but I am commanded and tasked to
Yeah.
love you. That's going to usurp everything else, right? That's going to usurp everything else. Just remember that we're all human beings and that we all have various experiences. And when you're dealing with a human being, you're dealing with that human being. You're not dealing with a sandbox.
Mm, yeah.
You're not dealing with a silo. You're not dealing with a
Yeah.
human being. And you will be amazed. You will be amazed at the type of growth that you will have as a human being when you start viewing people in that particular vein as opposed to those narratives that you hear. One of the things that we talk about a lot in our sessions is this whole idea of narratives, those that are external and those that are internal as well. So I could get out of on a tangent in regards to all that. We just love what we do, but that would be some of the advice that I would provide to your audience.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that a lot. And it takes a really it takes a really deep person to be able to go and uh, coach somebody like that and have a genuine heart, so that it's not just, oh, I want to just, make it better for myself, get money, whatever. You're coming from it from a completely different perspective, and you're bringing to it a whole new deep reality that you can tell, like, James, you got a good handle on how to connect with people, but how to do it in a way that is real. It's not fake. And that's one of the biggest things that I think we see all the time, where people are just doing things because it makes the money, pays the bills, will help out there, and means to an end. I think kind of like what you were talking about. So it's really cool that you've been able to touch so many people's lives and be able to help them, and helping them to not just learn how to get along with somebody else, but how to just have a better understanding of themselves. I think is
Yeah.
probably one of the best ways to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, we absolutely love it. I would tell you that normally, uh, prior to the sessions, a lot of times people would always ask, "Well, why don't you throw all these bios out there? Why don't you provide the
yeah.
bios?" I think I was talking to you about that once before. Why don't you provide the bios? And we can provide the bios. Believe me, we're not ashamed of the bios at all. But what happens with the bios is that it gives you some idea of what we've been able to accomplish. It
Yeah,
gives you an idea of what we've done and to a certain extent what we are.
yeah,
And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get individuals during these sessions to understand who we are. If they can understand who we are, that shows a certain vulnerability that we actually have.
yeah.
And hopefully it affords them an opportunity to open up as well. So when we finish up, and even before, when we open it up and when we close it, and we tell individuals that, you know what, we love you. At the end of
Mhm.
those sessions, they're like, we love you too, you know? And if that is the case, then again, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm doing what I'm called to do. I'm doing what is purposeful for me. And individuals who have given this an opportunity and they've actually called us in to do it, they have been excited about it and they've come out of it saying, you know what, this is the best. These are the best educational and information sessions that we've ever had, regardless of the industry. And we're extremely appreciative and blessed to have that type of endorsement.
That's amazing. Yeah, you guys have worked with a ton of people. I mean, you can see it on your site, and also just like from the reviews and stuff that you guys have, which is pretty awesome. So I'm really thankful that you were able to come on our show today, James, and for sharing everything. And guys, check out his book. You guys should check out his website. I will pop it back up here again for you. Um, equilibrium.org is a really great place, really great resource. You guys will want to work with James. And James, how can we get in touch with you? I mean, is your website the best way to get in contact? Social media? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Probably the website. The website would be the best way of contacting us. Normally, you'll either get myself or you'll get my director of operations. Either way, we're pretty good at getting back with you. We don't like to delay because sometimes when individuals reach out to us, it's like, this is a need. We need it like right now, right? And we want to make sure that we're able to offer that up to as many individuals as we possibly can. And like I said, one of the most important things for us is the ability to have the uh, those pre-consultations even prior to the sessions, so we can make certain that we're providing those entities with exactly what they need. We're not arrogant to the point where we're thinking we can come in and we know exactly what you need. We need to make certain we're having those conversations with you, and we're not cookie cutter. We don't just have a curriculum out there for you and it's a one size fits all, because we know that's not the case. And this work and what we're trying to do and where we've uh, um, seen our communities and our societies go to, it is too important for us to come in that particular way. It is too important. We have to make certain that we're providing the information, the education and information that will actually change the life trajectory of those individuals who are receiving the information. And the last thing that I would say in reference to it too, Ashley, is that even in regards to the book, it is a piece of literature that will be in the hands of law enforcement officials, but it is also a book that will be in the hands of the public and the citizens as well. That is important. The reason that is important because for decades and decades, we've always talked about this idea of reading from the same book, singing from the same sheet of music, but
Yeah.
in a tangible way, we've never really had that. This gives us an opportunity where the individuals are actually, they can actually read it and they know exactly what law enforcement officers are receiving and some of that supplemental and additional training they're receiving, while at the exact same time, the communities are reading this and they're getting an opportunity to do the exact same thing. So we're pretty excited about it. And thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it a great deal.
Absolutely. I mean, the honor is mine. I'm just really excited to get to have met you, and I know that great things are going to come in the future. We'll be sending people your way and all that good stuff. But and eventually, have you come to some do some keynote speaking or something like that. I think that would be fun. So
Yeah,
absolutely. But thank you guys so much for tuning in today. It's been great to have James. I would highly recommend reaching out. He's got a really amazing program here and is doing some great work. And I think we could all use this on certain levels. So reach out to James. He's a human that is absolutely amazing. I first when I first got to talk to him, it was just blown away by how intelligent and just like how down to earth and cool he was. So you know what? Really appreciate you, James.
cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Cool. I like that cool part.
All right, guys. Well, take care. You can find, once again, I'll pop him up here. James, you can find him at equilibriumup.org. I'll have that for those who are listening. It's popped up here on the screen as well. Go find his book on Amazon, Togetherness Through Service. And guys, we'll see you back here next time on the Malibash Spotlight Show. Thanks so much for tuning in. You guys take care.
Thanks.